Once upon a time, in a land called Everywhere, was a town known as Marketplace. And in the town of Marketplace lived a merchant who had beauty, function, meaning and utility on display in his shop for all to see. But day after day, shoppers passed by and barely gave his delightful wares a second glance. So the merchant decided he must do something. In fact, he was getting desperate. So much so that when shoppers came into his shop and asked if he had any design to purchase, he showed them his very best in utility and function instead. It was as though he hadn't heard a thing they'd said. The poor shoppers. They left feeling unheard and disconnected. The merchant became worried he was losing his marketing expertise. So the next day, he hired dancers to perform outside the shop. Surely that would attract many curious shoppers. And so it did. The crowds were so thick that the displays of beauty, function, meaning and even utility were obscured from view. But the crowds were distracted and entertained. The merchant saw his chance. As everyone was enthralled with the skills of the performers, he called out to them, "Shoppers, one and all, come quickly into the shop. If you find the performers to your liking, then surely you will want to see the many fine designs I have in my shop." Now the merchant knew he didn't really have any design to sell. He only sold utility and function, with a bit of meaning and beauty thrown in. But his powers to persuade the shoppers was great. He became even bolder and guided Sir Spends-a-Lot and Lady Must Have the Latest into the shop. The other shoppers would surely follow, and indeed they did. The merchant was beside himself with glee. Of course, he had enticed the shoppers with the promise of all kinds of design for sale, and he had none. Surely once they saw all the beauty and function on offer, they wouldn't remember that small deception. "Merchant, where is the design? I want to buy some of your design." Not replying directly, the merchant said, "Have you seen the utility and function? And you know I only have a few more of meaning and beauty." In a slightly louder voice, so all could hear, he said, "In fact, I only have a few more left of meaning and beauty. I won't be restocking." Suddenly, everyone thought they must have the last items. They were all snapped up in a moment. Well, the merchant had many more of meaning and twice as many more of beauty in the stockroom. But saying he scarcely had any at all had certainly boosted sales. He would remember to use that strategy again in the future. The merchant had been so excited by the quick sales, he had failed to notice that shoppers had begun to drift out of his shop. Where could they be going? The merchant caught snatches of conversation. One shopper grumbled on his way out. "Design, next door, well priced, in stock." Soon, all but a few shoppers remained, and they were only there hoping for a discount now that the merchant had more to sell than shoppers to sell to. The business day began. The shopkeeper opened her shop. As she stood outside, she began to greet the shoppers as they passed by. Many she knew by name. Some stopped to talk and then, instead of moving on, wandered into the shopkeeper's shop. The shopkeeper really seemed to care about the shoppers as people. What kind of marketing trick is this? Wondered the marketer. What's more, the shopkeeper continued to stand in front of the store, even as her shop began to fill with shoppers. As others passed by, she invited them to come in and see the many different kinds of design she specialised in. She really looked passionate about design. Surely the shopkeeper didn't know all these shoppers. How could she be so connected? Some customers asked if she had any function in stock. The shopkeeper was always direct. No, she would tell them. The merchant next door sold the best in function. The merchant continued to be amazed by what he saw and heard. The more shoppers the shopkeeper sent away, the busier her shop seemed to become. There was an abundance of buyers in and out all through the day. And not just that, but everyone looked relaxed, happy, and was having fun. As he sat in the market square, the merchant noticed something else. There were many shoppers who stopped to admire the beauty, function, meaning and utility artfully displayed in his own shop window. How attractive his shop looked from the market square. He wondered, could selling be profitable and fun, even fulfilling? The shopkeeper, of course, had noticed the merchant watching her all day. As the business day came to an end, the shopkeeper came over to the merchant. "Hello," said the shopkeeper. The merchant was startled. He'd never spoken to his competition before. "Hello," said the merchant. "You've been watching me today." "Yes, my business isn't doing so well. I've used all the tried and true marketing practices of old: persuasion, distraction, deception, and even scarcity, and a few others besides, and all to no avail. And while my sales have been dwindling, I have watched you prosper and enjoying your design. I became determined to learn your secret, but I confess, I am mystified. How do you do it?" The shopkeeper looked thoughtful. Then she smiled and said, "Perhaps we could collaborate." The merchant looked surprised, then suspicious. Was this a trick? He certainly didn't know what to say. "I have all this design, but no beauty or function to put with it." "Yes, I see what you mean." Slowly, the glimmerings of possibilities began to form in his mind. Possibilities he had never considered. He began to see the connections and abundance of possibilities. "I'm beginning to see that you, shopkeeper, are an ethical and graceful marketer. Is that your secret?" "It's no secret, merchant. I'll show you how to be an ethical and graceful marketer as well." And so from that point onwards, they collaborated and prospered happily ever after.